Hi, Trina right here. So, in line with my commitment to myself to share myself authentically and often, I am down at the beach, just sitting with myself, thinking about my morning thoughts on this wonderful, amazing Wednesday. And I think I had mentioned before that I approach each day with, what is the thing that I want to discover or play with in this, what I consider a game. So I wanted to just play in that a little bit and share a bit of that and see if we could get some conversation going. So the thought that had occurred to me is, if someone asked me, what do I think's going on here? What would I say? And I guess here being, this life, this experience, this time space reality. It would be such a fun question to answer. And this is just me flying by the seat of my pants, because I live my life constantly expanding and searching and exploring. And I consider myself a modern day philosopher and explorer. And I love the esoteric nature of things. And I also love the bringing it into integration within my being through experiential testing and understanding. And so, what do I think is going on here? Well, I want to keep it as sort of simplistic and brief as possible. I guess I think 100% that I chose to be here. I think 100% that every single expressing being currently here is here by their own choice for the nature of their own expansion. I believe that we are all one. So we all came from the same source of oneness. And though I'm still kind of sitting in it and contemplating the possibilities, since I know that any possibility is equally valid and true, the possibility these days that seems the most true for me is that we were part of the oneness, and at some level the oneness decided to experience the oneness. And by oneness, I don't mean like an infinite one being. I mean like the oneness, the collective of all that is, was striving for more and more expansion, and felt that its expansion could be better served by sending out expressions literally of itself to go and have these cool experiences of which all of the oneness would expand from. And so I am, and you are, one of those expressions that excitedly and eagerly asked to come for the experience and the expansion and the joy and the fun of it. And what do I think's going on here in the sense of this time and space? Well, we all know that basically it's an illusion of our own creation. There is so much now that clearly demonstrates that there is no one truth, that truth is, I guess, not quite impossible, but there is so many possibilities, so many potentialities, an infinite number, in fact, in any given moment, in any given experience, that my experience of this time and place is just one of those possible potentialities that I, through my own perspective, expectation, vibration, understandings, etc., experiential integration level, have come to see. And so it's been interesting, because I think we're here, we come here having forgotten that we're God, having forgotten that we're source expressing in a body, because if we knew that, then the experience of expanding wouldn't be quite the same. It would be, I heard something from the raw material that it would be like playing poker with a bunch of people when not only could you see your own hand, but you could see everybody else's. It would be fun to win a few hands, maybe to get continually getting the money, but at some point the game just wouldn't be as much fun, because you wouldn't really be, so to speak, winning the game. And I don't think this experience is about winning, but I think that it's about expanding, and I think it's about constantly moving in the direction of understanding who we are and the remembering. And I love the concept of remembering. I love the points when you feel that full, just absolute clarity and remembering. And I think there's a number of different ways that that experience can take us. And sometimes it's just kind of like we stumble into it and it takes us. And there's other times that we can be intentional. I mean, everyone would probably say they could have an experience of connecting to who they really are, or connecting to their inner being through meditation. That seems to be an easy one. And I know for me, really tuning into the concept of my inner being as a being onto herself, not exactly, but like this other non-physical version of me that is holding steady in the non-physical sourceness, whereas I've come to play in this environment to mix it up, and my vibration is sort of adjustable through my own presence and my own engagement, but also through the bouncing off of the things around me. And of course, moving from being reactive to the circumstances to being completely independent of them is part of that journey. But our inner being sits in that place all the time. That's where she resides. And so as I stepped into that, it became this delicious, epic relationship where I could just sit in presence with her and feel this sort of energy flow between us as we intertwined and moved into the one of just her and I. And that simulated the experience of what I think oneness is at a bigger level. But by personalizing it, it really took it to this new place where I felt so full, like just so full of the sourceness that is me, that then it started to flow. And as many of you know, that's when I then met Frank, because it was from that place of fullness that I wasn't approaching relationship because I needed something. I was approaching relationship because of just the experience of it. Seeing the reflection of my fullness through another was so exciting and fun. And so I think that that's part of the remembering. I think that's part of what we came for. And then I think there's just, it's never ending. You never get it done. So it's this constant expansion into the more and into this cool way of understanding this experience. This is just my thoughts about it. They're in no way true, quote unquote. They're just my truth. And everybody's going to have their own truth. And I think it's fun to imagine what it would be like if the world had been a slightly different place. I mean, as a collective, we have some frameworks that we have all sort of, whether we stumbled into it or whether, I don't think we were very conscious in it, but we have some frameworks, like this idea that seeing is believing, that for most of us, there is, even if we don't acknowledge it or feel it fully, we try to step out of it, but there's something that still calls us back to this notion that something can't be real if we can't actually see it. And the notion that everything is an illusion is really hard to fathom, because look around you and you yourself feel so real, and you feel so like you're your body, because the flow between you and your body is so strong, and the solidness of the things around you seems so real. So, that's sort of a agreed upon experience that we all chose. And I was thinking also about this notion of shared experience. I mean, everybody wants to feel gotten. That's one of the number one reasons people want to be in a relationship, is so they feel like someone gets them. Or this really big surge right now of people wanting to experience community is to soothe the feelings of being alone, and to really just sink deeper into a truth that you hold by having others that share in that truth. And I think that makes sense, and it's cool. I also think that some of these collective preferences or I don't think they're intentions. Some of the things that we've stumbled into as a collective are in some ways holding us back. I mean, having to wait for science to catch up, even though it will, doesn't help lead us to our acceleration. And I envision a time where it's resonance-based instead of science-based. You just feel it in your beingness. You ask your inner being, you sink into it, and you choose yes or no, and you recognize that everything is equally valid, and it's you that's the energy that makes the truth come alive for you. And so in that way, then we're all free, because everybody can have their own truth, because there doesn't have to be one truth. Part of it is the duality and polarity that we have here, which again, I think is like similar to the poker game. If everything was just unicorns, rainbows, and roses, and you just picked from one good thing after another, sure, it would be fun, but I'm not sure that the expansion would take us to the clarity and understanding that we, and as a collective oneness, as a bigger non-physical entity of oneness, wanted to experience. So I think that some of the frameworks that we've put in place were unintentional and are in some ways things that it would be good to start moving. And of course, because it's this see it, feel it, smell it, taste it, touch it experience, it takes a little while to shift those beliefs. It's not like you can just, even though it would be possible to turn on a dime, because everything that you've believed and everything that's happened is old news the moment it's happened. You could wake up right now and just be a different being completely. We don't tend to believe that. We tend to think that the last frame dictates the next frame. And so it is a constant becoming. And how that relates to why we're here is, I think it's just this, for me, it's this constant evolutionary expansion. It's the constant evolution of me. And I invite you to see it as the constant evolution of you, not so that you can figure something out or get to some place where, everything is known, though it will be. But it's that fun, cool place of where what you think you know is what you know for now. And then as you move more into the expansion, you hit the next leading edge and the next leading edge and the next leading edge. And it's just so epically delicious to be a part of that expansion. And so I think I've talked enough as my thoughts for this day. And again, I wanted to just reiterate the value and the power that I experienced in really amping up the connection with my inner being and inviting her to be a present being somewhat onto herself in relationship with me, so that my foundational relationship is with my inner being. It's my starting point. It's who I'm walking with right now at the beach. It's it's sort of, I guess, the person that gets me is her. And so it then minimizes the need for other people to get me. And at the same time, in minimizing that need, so many other people do get me, because then it becomes that reflection. So I feel so gotten by the source that is me, and I feel so full with the source that is me, that then that's the energy that I'm putting out, and then that's the energy that I'm getting back, because we create our reality through our focus and our vibration and our attention. So I want to talk more about this. I think it's a really cool idea about how we just be in flow with ourselves. And I know some of us think of it as Abraham Hicks would say alignment. And I think alignment is the simplified, basic version of it, but that so many more of us want to dive into what does that really mean, and how do I play that out loud? And since I've decided to call this little experience I'm having with myself expanding out loud, it would make sense that all aspects of this, as much as I can take the esoteric into the experiential, the better. Because I think that's really when we integrate and we understand and we hold to the next expansion, when it comes into the fullness of us and we feel like something clicked into place, then we're forever changed and we can't go back, so to speak, so that we continue that epic evolution. So in the comments, I'd love to hear what you think. I know that I like to talk, and I would love to hear any of you that wants to talk. If you want to share with me what your epic relationship with your inner being is like, that would be awesome. And over the next few days, I am going to share more and more about that, because that's how it started, and it continues to expand to places that are just mind-blowing, epic, cool, beautiful, amazing. And again, it's one of those things that I want to stand on a mountaintop and shout, because I want everyone to know what it's like to have this feeling with themselves, to have this feeling with source, to know that there's source flowing in a body, like to really feel it and have a touch point for it. And I think that's what this is about. So thank you so much for your time. You have a great day. Take some time to go be with your inner being, fill yourself up and play. Bye.